Hello. Okay, so welcome to episode 1 of my podcast. And I think this is what I'm going to be doing moving forward. I am on this trial and error with my business, just trying things out, basically throwing pasts on the wall and seeing what sticks at this point. So, hi, my name is Julie. And if you found yourself here, thank you for being here. I am a 2/4 self-projected projector, which makes sense to me doing a podcast because I could just talk. And a Scorpio sun, Aries rising, Libra moon. And I love to talk about deep topics. I love talking about things around self-development, human design, shadow work, inner child healing, relationships, and who knows what else comes up in this podcast. And so I wanted to create this podcast as a place where you can come to and listen and hear my 2 cents, hear what I have to say, hear what my thoughts are, maybe contemplate it, reflect on it, question it yourself, agree to it, disagree to it. It's all welcome. There is no right way or wrong way on how to do things or how to think of things. I'm just here to question it and to allow you to question it. Because I think that questioning things is the most powerful way to shift, to grow, to heal. This is where you get curious about yourself, curious about the world around you. And I believe that there is so much we don't know. There's so much out there in terms of learning about ourselves at a whole other level. And I have learned a lot about myself through the past few years, ever since really diving deep into this personal development journey and spiritual journey. And I want to share that with you. So I am going to be sharing about my story on here. I am going to have a guest come in and we're going to be talking about all the things, whatever my guests love having conversations about, and then usually whatever like we both love to speak about. And then that's how creating the podcast episode. So there's going to be that. And I'm going to be sharing my thoughts. So as a projector, invitations are important. And the way I view invitations are many things. So sometimes there'll be somebody who would ask me, okay, please talk about this topic, please talk about that topic. And so those are the obvious invitations, but then the not so obvious invitations are my observations. So the ones where people are having a conversation with me, whether it is having a conversation at the bar with my friends, out for coffee, random people I meet, I tend to have very powerful conversations about different topics. And what I am starting to do is take those conversations and share them with you on here. Because of the way my brain processes things, there's a lot, I have a lot of shit in my head. And it's sometimes really difficult to pull it out myself. I even just sitting here before turning this on to record it, I was like, what the hell am I going to talk about? So I just click record and now I'm hoping for the best. But that's why I want to have guests come on. That's why I pay attention to conversations I have with other people, because they pull out the information that's in my head. They pull it out. And I'm like, oh yeah, like that's such a powerful topic to talk about. I have so much to say about this because I am self-projected and I do have a lot to say. And I do have a lot of thoughts and feelings and all those things. And it's just sometimes a little difficult for me to pull it out. And even coming up with ideas, for example, I love it when I brainstorm with someone else, and it's not so much for someone else to give me the idea of what to do. I know what I need to do. It is more to start up this brainstorm process on like, on really getting to a place of like, what do I want to do? And so that's where this is at with this podcast. There's going to be tons of topics, as I explained earlier. And I tend to sometimes have the tendency to repeat myself. So it's going to be something I'm going to be working on this podcast, so that you don't hear the same thing twice. But then if you do hear it twice, then maybe you are meant to hear it twice at the same time. But I do want to work on that. And I also do want to work on my speaking and my enunciation, and not saying so much likes and all those kind of like filler words, because sometimes I find myself throwing in so many filler words, and we don't need those filler words. And then I catch myself when I hear myself, and I'm like, oh my God, Julie, you said like 100 times. So there's going to be a little bit of practicing, working on myself with this podcast. Then my other intention is to provide you guys content for those who are listening. I am still on Instagram. This podcast is going to be posted on YouTube and Spotify for now. I haven't figured out Apple Podcasts just yet. Working on that. Slowly ticking off all the boxes. And yeah, just finding myself like how I can use different platforms and where I can put what, and seeing what works, having different ways people and you who's listening to access what I'm all about, and to access the content I create, to provide the guidance that I'm here to provide, whether you resonate with it or not. I am very much take what resonates, leave the rest. So sometimes I will be talking about certain topics that might be triggering, and sometimes I will be talking about topics that are heavy, other times that they're light and fun. And I do believe like having an array of things, because there is so much power in the darkness. And I find we tend to be scared of the darkness. We are scared of what might come out of it, but there's this beauty in the darkness, and beauty is to learn more about ourselves. And so there is going to be the dark topics. There's going to be the heavier topics. I will definitely, put a disclaimer for sure, to give you a heads up. And then there'll also be some topics that are more lighthearted. There'll be also some topics that are more fun, topics that are exciting. I'm going to have a variety of guest speakers, so we'll see what that and how that unfolds and what happens through there. And that's basically it, what I have to say for the first episode. I feel like I don't want to kind of go off too much into too many tangents right now of different topics and just get overwhelmed. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of that foundation of this podcast and what to expect. If you are interested on learning more about me, you can check me out on my website, Juliesunknown.com. Also my Instagram, Juliesunknown. And yeah, I'll just be sharing a bunch of different things on here. And that's it. So thank you for listening, and stay tuned for episode number 2, which will be shortly.